In March 2020, the world's leading streaming service, Netflix, released a movie called The Lost Girls. It was a tale about a woman's quest to find justice for her daughter who had been killed by a suspected serial killer. Lost Girls was not a work of fiction. It was based on a New York Times best-selling book of the same name, written by Robert Coker. It was an account of the true story of a girl named Shannon Gilbert who was murdered in Long Island, and the struggles of her mother, Marie Gilbert, in her attempts to solve the murder case. Lost Girls begins with a scene where Marie Gilbert, played by Amy Ryan, drives home after a long day at work. She receives a call from her adult daughter, Shannon, who asks if she could come home for dinner. At the time, Shannon was living on her own. For Marie, it was supposed to be a lovely evening with three of her four daughters, Shannon, Cherie, and Sarah. Of course, Cherie and Sarah may not have been too pleased to hear that their elder sister, Shannon, would be joining them that evening to cut down their dinner ration. But she was their sister, and sacrificing a small portion of their food for Shannon was a small matter. However, that night, Shannon never made it to dinner. In fact, neither Marie Gilbert nor her other daughters heard a word from Shannon for the next few days. Marie was in panic mode. It was unusual for Shannon to maintain radio silence for that long, especially when there was no prior argument between them. Marie's only logical move was to report the case to the police and inform them that their eldest daughter had gone missing. That is what she did. The police were as responsible as they would normally be when a missing person report is received. But after some preliminary investigation, the police discovered that Shannon was a sex worker. The enthusiasm to pursue her case significantly diminished. The police discovered that on the night Shannon went missing, she was working as a private escort. Marie tried to contact Shannon's boyfriend, who in turn linked Marie up with Shannon's driver, who was with her on the night of her disappearance, while Shannon was meeting up with a client. Unfortunately, Marie's discussion with Shannon's driver proved abortive. Confused and with no idea where her daughter could be, Marie did all she could to convince the police to pursue her daughter's case. But the police had gone cold on the issue the moment they discovered they were dealing with a missing sex worker. However, things would become more serious when a police dog discovered the remains of a woman who was later identified as Melissa Barthelemy. Within the 2 days that followed, 3 more bodies were discovered. The deceased women were identified as Amber Lynn Costello, Megan Waterman, and Maureen Brainerd Barnes. All 4 women were found on the north side of Ocean Parkway. Each body was wrapped in a burlap sack, and they all died from asphyxiation. Also, like Shannon Gilbert, they were all sex workers who had advertised on Craigslist. The evidence seemed to indicate that a serial killer was on the prowl. In the movie Lost Girls, Marie locates Shannon's client, Joe Brewer, as well as a doctor who lived in the area and went by the name Peter Hackett. Although Marie had her suspicions about Peter Hackett, the police ruled him out as a suspect. Meanwhile, between late March and early April of 2011, the police discovered 4 more bodies near Oak Beach and Gilgo Beach. Following these discoveries, more bodies were found. In total, 10 bodies were found. At the time, the police believed that all the victims were killed by one person. Of the 10 people discovered dead, 6 of them were identified. The other 4 victims, including a 2-year-old girl, could not be identified. Also, half of the victims were sex workers, strengthening the suspicions of the police that this was the work of a serial killer. But still, Shannon's body was nowhere to be found. The police maintained that there was no reason to believe that Shannon was a victim of the elusive serial killer. According to the movie, later in 2011, Marie receives a call from a neighbor of Dr. Hackett. The neighbor, Joe Scalise, informs Marie that Dr. Hackett had put his house up for sale. Marie immediately rushes down to Long Island, where Dr. Hackett lived, to have a discussion with Dr. Hackett in relation to the disappearance of Shannon. Dr. Hackett shows a willingness to have a discussion with Marie, and following the discussion, she receives no new information that could help to solve her daughter's case. But while still in the area, Marie meets with the police commissioner of Suffolk County and asks him to search the marsh, as it was the only place the police had not searched for her daughter within that area. The police did drain the marsh, and there they found the remains of Shannon's body. Following the discovery of Shannon's remains, the police ruled her death as an accident, believing that she had most likely drowned in the nearby marsh. Her family did not agree with the conclusion. Instead, they commissioned an independent autopsy of her remains, which was carried out by forensic pathologist Dr. Michael Baden. The autopsy revealed that a bone in Shannon's neck had been damaged, suggesting that she was strangulated to death. Despite the release of this information, the authorities refused to change their stance on the nature of Shannon's death, ruling it an accident. Apart from Shannon Gilbert, 5 other victims have been linked to the killer now known as the Long Island serial killer. However, the police have not officially made this link. While the deaths of over 10 women have been attributed to the murder spree of a serial killer, the identity of the killer is still unknown to this very day. Following the discovery of Shannon's body, further information has come to light that seemed to indicate that she was most likely murdered. It has been revealed that on the night of her disappearance, Shannon placed 3 calls to 911, where she said that someone was trying to kill her. Her first call lasted about 22 minutes, yet no officers were sent to her location. Although the authorities have ruled that Shannon's death was most likely an accident, investigations into her death have not ended. A website, gilgonews.com, was set up to accept any tips and pieces of information that could aid the investigation. The authorities have also said that further updates on the progress of the investigation will be posted on the website as things develop. In January 2020, the Suffolk Police Commissioner Geraldine Hart released a photo of a belt that was found at the scene of Shannon's death. The authorities believe that the belt belonged to the murder suspect and not the victim. However, it remains unclear why the police chose to come forward with this piece of evidence when they did, considering they had it with them for 9 years and said nothing about it. Part of Marie Gilbert's fight over her daughter's case was to ensure that her daughter's case was given an equal attention as any other missing person case would. When speaking about the case, the author of Lost Girls, Robert Coker, revealed that he found it rather weird that despite the attention that Shannon's case was gathering in the media, the police were silent over the matter. He also said that it appeared that the police was awkwardly trying to downplay the case, especially because the victims of the serial killer were just hookers. Coker's extensive research and interviews conducted before writing his book revealed that society had a negative perspective on the profession of the victims of the Long Island serial killer, a sentiment that was reflected in the police department. This is what made Shannon's case a fight for Marie Gilbert. For Marie, it was not just a fight for Shannon, but a fight for all victims of the Long Island serial killer, a fight for equality, and a fight against discrimination. Unfortunately, Marie's struggle ended on a very sour note. In July 2016, 6 years after Shannon's remains were found, Marie Gilbert died, aged 52. She died at the hands of her daughter, Sarah. Sarah Gilbert had struggled with her mental health for a long time. This was even reflected in the film Lost Girls. Played as an adolescent by actress Una Lawrence, several references were made to Sarah's mood stabilizer prescriptions throughout the film. Sarah had been diagnosed with schizophrenia, a disorder that affects a person's ability to think, feel, and behave clearly. She had been in and out of medical facilities in a bid to deal with her condition. Earlier in 2016, Sarah was charged with aggravated cruelty to animals and endangering the welfare of a child after she drowned a puppy in her bathtub, right before her infant son Hayden. On that fateful day, July 26, 2016, Sarah suffered a psychotic episode after she had stopped using her medication. The 27-year-old was clearly not herself that day. Her mother, Marie, had been visiting Sarah from time to time to see how she was doing. And on this day, when Sarah was having one of her episodes, Marie was in the house. She attempted to interfere to try to calm her daughter down, but it was a fatal mistake. Sarah grabbed a kitchen knife and stabbed her mother, Marie, 227 times. After that, Sarah forcefully removed her mother's clothes and severely hit her on the head with a fire extinguisher. Sarah Gilbert was consequently charged with second-degree murder, a charge to which she pleaded not guilty. When Sarah testified before the jury, she said she believed that Marie was evil and that she deserved to die. Sarah's lawyer, John Ray, claimed that Sarah could not be held responsible for the death of Marie Gilbert because she was going through a phase of schizophrenia at the time. He said that Sarah was criminally insane. In further comments on the case, attorney John Ray indicated that Sarah's belief that Marie was evil was partly based on some truth. He explained that Marie Gilbert practiced witchcraft and black magic all her life, claiming that Marie's children were adversely affected by her dark practices and that the evidence to support that could not be refuted. It was a shocking claim coming from an attorney who had worked closely with Marie Gilbert to solve Shannon Gilbert's case. Sarah's sister, Stevie Gilbert, however, disagreed with Ray's appraisal of the situation. Instead, she explained that Sarah was jealous of the relationship that she had with her mother, Marie. Stevie believed that if she was in the same house that night Marie was killed, Sarah would have killed her too. In the end, in August 2017, a jury found Sarah Gilbert guilty of second-degree murder. She was given the maximum sentence for her crime, a heavy 25 years to life in prison. The jurors did not find Ray's argument against the charges on behalf of Sarah compelling enough. Speaking for the press, one of the jurors said that even though they recognized that Sarah has a mental illness, the jury believed that she was well aware of what she was doing on the night she murdered her mother. Till today, Sarah remains in prison. Since the death of Marie Gilbert and the incarceration of Sarah Gilbert, Marie's other daughters, Stevie and Cherie, have continued their mother's work and seeking justice for Shannon. They are doing this with the help of their family attorney, John Ray. Cherie Gilbert currently manages a Facebook page named Praying for Shannon Marie Gilbert. The page is dedicated to solving the murder case of Shannon Gilbert. Shannon Gilbert's story is a heart-wrenching one. It is incredibly difficult to quantify the amount of pain that the Gilbert's family have had to go through since the night Shannon went missing. Marie's fight has not ended. The search for justice continues. Her passion to seek justice for those who are looked down on in society is a noble cause that needs to be championed by all. Hopefully, someday, the murder case of Shannon Marie Gilbert will be solved and justice will be served.